Hello and thank you for joining us from wherever you are. We are live from our studios here in Kokomlemle on digital address GA0992539. Our top stories this hour. Supreme Court throws out Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association case against the National Communication Authority seeking to halt implementation of pay TV system. We have details from the court. And body of a man killed by his 28-year-old brother on its way for preservation as the suspected killer is in the grips of Wale Police Command. We're live in the region as crowds are massed following the killing. We find out whether or not they observed COVID-19 protocols. Meanwhile, the coronavirus death toll inches closer to 100 as 95 people are killed by coronavirus as of today. Also, 414 new cases are recorded in the last 24 hours. There are some recoveries too. We'll take you through all of that, plus a New Patriotic Party appeases candidate who lost in the primaries with promises of official position within the party to minimize the impact of losses on the party's political fortunes in December. We analyze this move with political scientists. Remember, we are live on your digital television. We're also on DSTV 421, GoTV 144. We're streaming live on YouTube. You can catch us there and on our social media platforms. Send us your thoughts on 054011009. My name is Gifty Amdopia. This is The Pulse. Please be my guest. And we start from up north. The entire Yesizi community in the Mamprugu Muaduri district of the northeast region has been thrown into a state of mourning after a 48-year-old man was killed by his own brother. The deceased, Yaru, was said to have been hit with an object by his 29-year-old brother, whose name was given only as Bashiru, after he allegedly called him a thief. Northeast Regional Correspondent Ilyasu Tanku reports the incident happened at a drinking spot, and Ilyasu has been following the story as the body of the man is said to be on its way to the Wale Police Command. Ilyasu joins me with more. Hello, Ilyasu. All right, we'll get to Ilyasu to give us more details, but Ilyasu has been speaking to the police command there. I'll bring you what the Wale District Police Commander Superintendent Simon Akabiti has been telling us. So also when Ilyasu Tanku joins me with details, he's been following the story. What we know right now is that the body of this man has been sent on its way to Wale. He's been sent there for preservation, and the suspected killer is in the grips of the Wale police. Ilyasu joins me with more. Hello, Ilyasu. We'll take a very quick break. We'll be right back with details of our story. You're welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. Let's get back to Ilyasu Tanku, who is joining us up north for details of the gentleman who's killed his brother, who is in police grips at the moment. Hello, Ilyasu.
Hi, Gifty.
Ilyasu, let's start from how this happened. How did it happen? What do eyewitnesses say?
Well, what we know is that this incident happened yesterday in the afternoon, and according to community sources, these are two brothers who regularly visit this particular drinking spot where the incident happened. we are learning that these two people had earlier misunderstanding some 2 weeks ago. According to our sources, the disease accused the suspect of stealing his fowl from 2 weeks ago. That matter was sent to the local chief in the area, and the suspect was made to pay the amount of 25 Ghana cedis. But according to sources, the suspect harbored this particular incident.
Eliasu seems to have frozen. Eliasu, so I hope that you do hear me right now. But so essentially, this was for a fight or a confrontation over 25 cedis for a foul. Hello, Eliasu, can you hear me?
Over a foul, and the chief, and so he actually paid the money some 2 weeks back. Hello, Gifty, I can hear you.
Okay, so I lost you.
Hello, Gifty, can you hear
yes, Eliasu, I do hear you now, but I lost you. And I want you to recap for us what you said. You were saying that this happened after a confrontation over a missing fowl, and someone was fined 25 cedis, which he paid.
Exactly, and that is the suspect now. He was accused of stealing the fowl. He paid the 25,000 after the local chief intervened. And so yesterday, when they met at the drinking spot, a misunderstanding ensued. And according to sources, the disease called the suspect a thief, and that provoked him and engaging violently. And in the course of the violent confrontation, he hit his head with an object believed to be a stick. He was then rushed to the community health center, where he was pronounced dead today at about 3 a.m. in the dawn.
So, Elias, so we do know that the body has been sent to Wale Wale. What more is happening right now?
Yes, and so after the announcement of his death, we understand the family relatives didn't take it lightly. They massed up at the residence of this alleged killer or the attacker and arrested him. And they were about to lynch him, according to our sources. The local chief again had to intervene and rescue him and call the police. And so the police have currently moved both the suspect and the deceased to the divisional command here in Wale Wale. As we speak, doctors at the Wale Wale hospital have examined the body, and the body have been released to the family for burial. The suspect, however, has been kept in custody here in Wale Wale. And I have been speaking to the police commander here, and he tells me that the suspect will be processed for court tomorrow for murder. He, basically, criminally, he has been charged with murder, and he will be processed to court tomorrow.
He's been charged with murder, and he'll be processed for court tomorrow. We'll hear Superintendent Peter Akabati shortly. But what do people in the area say about these two people? Do we know them? What do we know about them?
Yes, like I said earlier, they are relatives. They are from the same extended family, and they have been going to this drinking spot together for some time now, according to sources. And so many people believe this is a very sad incident. Earlier on, the community there was very chaotic because many people were mourning at the same time anger. And like I said, many people, after the suspect was rescued to the chief palace, the people massed up at the chief palace demanding that the suspect be released to them as it were, or one of the sources told me for them to also kill him. And so it took the intervention of the community leaders, the assemblymen, of course, the assemblyman in the area, for them to be able to keep calm at the community, for the police to arrive. And as I said, the police have taken custody of both the suspect and the body, and they are all currently in Wale Wale, the divisional command here.
Okay, Elias, so let's listen to, when I come back, I want us to talk about how they are masked and whether there was social distancing at all, given that there is coronavirus, and I'm sure they have heard about it. But let's hear from the Wale Wale Divisional Police Commander, Superintendent Peter Akabati.
My stations at Yaba also called me and they indicated the same issue. So I called the assemblyman of the area, who's Honorable Abdul Rahman Tindo, and he gave me detailed, report on the issue. But fortunately for us, the Yaba police brought the cops and the suspect to Awali. And the detailed issue is that the victim is Seidu Baba, now deceased. It's about 47 years. And the suspect is Chia Bashiru, who's around 27, 28 years. And the story here is that somewhere about 2 years ago, there was a misunderstanding between the two of them. The suspect accused, the deceased accused the suspect of having stolen his chicken. Now, the matter went to the chief's palace, and during arbitration, the suspect was made to pay for the chicken. That's 25 cedis. The suspect paid all right, but it's like he didn't take a kindness to it. He harbored some ill feeling against the deceased. So yesterday, they met in a drinking bar, and they had both taken some amount of alcohol. And during some, whatever it is, there was some misunderstanding between the two of them. And the suspect took a stick and hit the head of the deceased. In fact, the deceased sustained an injury on the head, which was actually bleeding. So a relative of the deceased accompanied him. He walked himself to the GZC health center. He got there all right. He made his complaint, and he was sat down and was being attended to. In the course of attending to the victim, he asked to take a rest on the ground, that's to lie down. When he lay down, shortly after, he couldn't respond. And so when I attacked him, he was not responding. And that ended it. That's how he finally passed on. So I had a call from my agency that there was some unfortunate incident from the DC, Honorable Adams. And later my stations at Yaba also called me and they indicated the same issue. So I called the assemblyman of the area, who's Honorable Abdul Rahman Tindo, and he gave me detailed report on the issue. But fortunately for us, the Yaba police brought the cops and the suspect to Awali. And the detailed issue is that the victim is Seidu Baba, now deceased. It's about 47 years. And the suspect is Chia Bashiru, who's around 27, 28 years. And the story here is that somewhere about 2 years ago, there was a misunderstanding between the two of them.
Peter Akabati is a Wale Wale Divisional Commander speaking there. So I asked what we know about these gentlemen, especially the one who is dead. I wanted to find out, for example, what work do they do? What do people in the neighborhood say about them, apart from the fact that they're related? Because this death, according to the police officer we listened to, is over a fowl that cost 25 cedis.
That's exactly. This is a community about 11,000, over 11,000 population, and nearly all of them are peasant farms. And so we do know that these two gentlemen, or the deceased and the suspect, they were all peasant farmers. What we also know is that the deceased left behind one wife and 2 children. And we also know, as I said earlier on, they are relatives, members of the same extended family. They used to live together in the same house. So basically, this is what we know about these two individuals.
Eliasu, thank you very much for that update. But I want to also, before you go, talk to us about social distancing protocol. So the people are massed there, demanding that the suspect be handed over to them. Was anybody wearing, how many, first of all, was anybody wearing a mask at least?
I mean, issues of COVID-19 here has been very difficult for authorities to deal with. You remember, the Wali municipality has been the only area where, in the region, in the northeast region, where there have been each incident or cases of COVID-19, one dead and the other recovered. And you also know that there was some controversy over whether those people involved are truly COVID-19 patients. Yeah, of course. And so since that following that particular controversy, many people have been very relaxed in respect to, I mean, measures in place to check COVID-19. Majority of people here, I can tell you that do not follow the measures put in place to check COVID-19. So in terms of checking COVID-19, actually the entire community were told that very few people wear masks, and today's incident was not different. Majority of people who mask up at in fact, all the people who mask up at the Chief Palace did not have masks on. It's been very difficult getting people to adhere to the protocols here in the entire Northeast region.
Well, we hope that as we do this story, it will alert the authorities there to put in some efforts to explain some of these things to the people. Eliasu, thank you for that update. Eliasu Tanko, there, our Northeast region correspondent, bringing us up to speed where a 48-year-old man has been killed by his 28-year-old brother over a foul. Lawyers for the NCA are urging the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association, GIBA, to embrace change and welcome policy that will see all television viewers pay licensing fees for access to digital channels. The Supreme Court today dismissed the case filed by GIBA, saying, quote, it raises no cause of action, unquote. Since the policy is yet to take off, GIBA had argued that the policy amounts to censorship, since persons who fail to pay the fee will not have access to content provided by the media. Well, the court disagreed. We can speak to President of GIBA, Andrew Danso Ahenkra, who joins me via Zoom. Hello, Mr. Ahenkra and Ninkra. Well, let's listen to the NCA legal team.
When they filed this case in respect of claiming that the policy of the Ministry of Communication trying to introduce a conditional access system is curtailing freedom of expression or their right to broadcast. We have told them from day one that that position is wrong in law, because at the end of the day, even if that policy itself is even to talk about, it has not been implemented. It's not been carried into effect. You understand what I'm saying? So the action itself from day one has been premature. We told them from day one that the case is premature and they won't listen to us. And the court has affirmed our position that the action is premature. So that, I think, should be it. In any event, this issue about conditional access system, what is it about? It's a thinking through that government is doing to say, look, let's find a very nice way, a very refined way going into the future, all right, to introduce a system whereby television viewers, can pay TV licenses. You get what I'm saying? So at least to even raise revenue for government in one way or the other. It has got nothing to do with the content of broadcasters, with your content, nothing at all. So we don't see the complaint of GIBA in this matter. So clearly, there's a lot of misinformation out there that once that policy is introduced, government intends to fetter with the right to broadcast, and that is not correct. That's not correct. So the court agreed with us, and I think that the action is premature, so it's been thrown away.
The court made the point that you are scheduled to implement it by end of year. Are we to understand that?
You see, it is not about rescheduling it per se. You see, there's a global trend that now no longer analog system is going to be in operation. I believe you are aware. And now they're all going digital, so it's a global trend. And the global trend, Ghana is not out of the world. We are part of the global community, so the analog system is fading away. What is going to happen is the digital migration, and it's going to happen. Because without it, we can't even view television in this country.
Gary Mako there, he speaks for the NCA's legal counsel. Let's get to Giba and speak to the president, Andrew Danso, who's joining me on Zoom. Mr. Danso, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
So, first of all, what's your reaction to the fact that the court has thrown out the case?
Well, so I think it's something which we needed to test. We needed to go to court to find out, and the court has made a decision. By what the court has said is the fact that the action is yet to be taken. And therefore, what it means is that we need to wait for the action.
Yeah.
I think that is going forward where we are now.
And so, explain to us why you believe that this new policy tagged conditional assessment system amounts to censorship.
So we've said it over and over. The conditional access does one thing. The conditional access, if anybody comes to tell you that is a way of generating revenue, it is incorrect. It can be used for other things, and it does just one thing. It blocks signals. That is where our stand is. So that if you have to generate revenue, or you want to generate revenue, or you intend generating revenue, we are asking the question, what are the other means by which you can generate revenue? Apart from using a system that blocks signals until certain conditions are met. So the question we are asking is, what are those conditions you are seeking to be met before you give access to the information? You give access to viewership. You give access to whoever owns the television or the box to receive information. I think this has been our stand all throughout. This is where we have been, and this is what we have been talking about. And we believe that once you do this, it gives you the opportunity now to decide who watches or who hears what the person needs to hear or must hear.
So essentially, the court has said that this is premature. So you will wait and take the necessary next steps. What are these?
Well, so for now, it throws the ball back into the court of the NCA and the MOC. I heard somebody say that the whole world, it's a global thing. Let us not confuse the conditional access and the DTT. It is the DTT which, as we speak, we are getting reception without conditional access. There is DTT in certain areas. People are watching television by DTT. So we are saying that it is possible for us to have the DTT without conditional access. Let us not confuse the two. What we are saying now is let us have a DTT without the conditional access. For us, this is where we are. Now it is up to the NCA to find out whether they will go ahead to implement the conditional access or not.
Do you have an idea how long that will take?
That is for them to tell us.
I see. And for people who are watching, finally, I want you to speak to why people should be worried about this phenomenon in the first place, because as the counsel for the NCA puts it, this has nothing to do with censorship. It has nothing to do with the content that broadcasters put out there. But you think that people should be concerned because there is a problem here, there is a cause for worry there. What exactly is that? It
has everything to do with the signal you are receiving. It has everything to do with the carrier that is taking the content to you. It is being blocked until you meet a certain access. It is like a vehicle, it is like having access to your home being blocked. And then they tell you it has nothing to do with your clothing inside, it has nothing to do with your food inside. Your access into your house has been blocked. You will sleep outside, you will be hungry, you have to feed from the street, you have to depend on the street. Someone has the key to your house and the person has locked it until you meet a certain condition. It is rightful your home. You don't owe anybody anything for locking your house, but the person decides that I need money for some reason. I will lock your house until you pay me the money. I take the money and I open your house for you. I think that is what we should be worried about.
Mr. Nikwa, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. We'll keep our eyes on this story and keep following the development. Andrew Danso Eninkwa is president of GEBA there. Let's do some politics now. And hardworking members of parliament who lost the recent parliamentary primaries could be rewarded with a position in a future NPP government. That's according to Samuel, national organizer for the NPP, Sami Euku, as the party begins what it calls healing process. 40 MPs lost their bid to contest in the December polls following some shock results in some constituencies, including chairpersons of the Education, Legal Affairs and Roads committees. Sami Euku has been telling my colleague Evans Mensah on PM Express last night that some of these negotiations have already begun. We'll hear from Sami Euku as right when we return from this break. But I want to hear from you. Send us your comments and your thoughts on our WhatsApp platform 0540109009. We'll be right back to stay with us. You're welcome back. Many thanks for staying with us. Let's go back to the previous story I read before we went on the break about the NPP saying that hardworking MPs who lost the recent parliamentary primaries could be rewarded with a position in the future NPP government. National organizer for the NPP, Sami Euku, has been explaining that to Evans Mensah on PM Express last night.
NPP on any day, we have an array of stars who step into the fray and take up the challenge, and with encouragement and motivation, they even sometimes tend to also perform beyond our imagination. In the NPP's wisdom, in the NPP's arrangement, we believe that at any point in time, one of us can be called upon to step into the shoes. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was one of our best debaters on the floor of Parliament. When he left, the Honorable Samuel Atachia took over, and Atachia has been also another great MP on the floor of Parliament and in government. So the NPP structure and arrangement, at every point in time, we make sure that we prepare ourselves, we prepare successors. It's like a tradition. And so I also do hope that our members of Parliament who couldn't make it over the weekend can serve as also a resource pool for the party, for us to tap into their vast experience and knowledge to help strengthen the party's parliamentary base and also help support their colleagues who continue to be at the forefront of parliamentary democracy.
Sami Euku is national organizer for the NPP. He was speaking to my colleague Evans Mensah yesterday on PM Express. Well, chairman of the governing New Patriotic Party, Freddie Blay, is also dismissing claims that the party orchestrated the exit of Dr. Mark Esibeyeboah in the just ended NPP primaries. The elections, as you may well be aware of now, saw over 40 incumbent MPs lose their seat. The chairman of Parliament's Finance Committee was asked by delegates and replaced with director of the Free Zones Board, Michael Oshribefi. But speaking in an exclusive interview with JoyNews' Kwesi Parker-Wilson, Mr. Blay said the loss of the Member of Parliament and others could not have been the party's decision.
Although, notwithstanding a few casualties that are taking place unexpectedly,
it's not few casualties. I mean, that's the argument that, as we speak, 41 MPs lost their seats. In fact, there's accusation that some of the leadership, the party leadership, the hierarchy, and I'm talking about yourself and NEG, actually engineered some of the defeat. How do you respond to that? With reference to Esibeyeboah's constituency, that is New Javan's.
I deny that. I want to be honest with you. There could be individuals who have their own biases and preferences in the various constituencies. But as a policy, I don't think the party, NEC, did not engineer the exit or the defeat of any individual MP. Of course, I would have loved, speaking for myself, this is after the fact, I would have preferred SB being a member of the
to retain the seat.
To retain the seat, considering the very vital role he's been playing as chairman of the Finance Committee in Parliament. But as I said, it's democracy. And if it's a contest, and he was confident, and I believe some were very confident that he will return to Parliament. It's unfortunate.
You should have protected him. I mean, admitting the fact that he was.
What do you mean by protecting him?
The education minister was protected. The majority leader.
Education minister was not protected. And there wasn't anybody who had reared its head to contest, or if people who were bent on contesting, if you persuade them and they say no, they wouldn't go, or they will agree not to go, that's another matter. But when you use the word protection, it connotes a deliberate, unconstitutional means of preventing anybody contesting an MP or a sitting MP. That the constitution of the party frowns upon. We couldn't do that.
Party Chairman Freddie Blay speaking to my colleague Kwesi Parker Wilson. Now the new Patriotic Party's parliamentary candidate for New Job in South, Michael Ochibefi, says his frequent attendance of funerals, parties and other social functions in the constituency was instrumental in unseating Marcus Beyeboa. He also adds that it made him marketable. Mr. Befi has been speaking to Mamavio Swabuaje.
The delegates, there are not many. Kufudia is a very safe seat. The delegates, there are only 586. There are not many. And they will determine whether you become an MP again or not. So it will take somebody who doesn't understand politics to miss this point.
So what do you give them?
You don't need to do much for them. When you take your heart, you do what is important. And the little that they want, they're not people that want much. They appreciate the little that you do for them. So we'll go all out to say that they know. They've been telling me that they know between me and them, they know who will be there for them when the person is given the opportunity.
That's obviously you, because they've given you the opportunity now.
It is not, everybody knows. If the elections were to be conducted, I mean, in the constituency whole, I mean, everybody were to vote in the constituency, I didn't think I would have campaigned. Because, you see, because I'm also a marketer, I've positioned myself so well. I understand positioning in marketing. If you don't understand it, you don't know how to do it. So people think that, hey, why everywhere you go to funerals, you do it everywhere, even if they do not call you, go meet them in here. You know, that's not about politics. You do all these things for people to know and see you. That's all. Because a prospective buyer can only buy what he sees, even if the person is buying impulsively. Even in marketing, impulse buyers will only buy what they see. So that's why when you go to people who do FMCGs, what they do is that they spend so much money in positioning their products well on the front line of the counter.
Let's hear from the director of the Free Zones Board, who also says he's assuring that over 250 delegates in his constituency have been given jobs even before the primaries.
We have been there with them. We've been there with them. I've been there for them for a very long time, continuously, from 2007, actively when I became very active. I've been there for them all this while, being there, working together, taking care of them. So far, in my constituency, like a police station structure alone, I've given 215 jobs to police executives. And there are more coming, you know.
Where are you getting the jobs from? Because there are people who complain that there are no jobs.
That's the difference between a politician who cares about his people and the one who just... Because when you have the desire to work for your people and love them, you go and look for jobs for them. Because I always say that, okay, if you are able to help one person from your constituency, it means that the person will be also help two people one day. So it's good for you if you show leadership through that angle. To me, it's the best. And so I don't joke with it at all. I devote one day of the week to look for jobs.
How do you do it? Are you calling your friends, the people that you know?
Calling people that I know, going to just sometimes doing things for people to get your way.
Did you do all that so you'd become candidates?
I've been doing this all this while.
Michael Quay has been talking about what the new or the parliamentarians should be doing, given that some of them are on their way out. We'll get to Parliament and get more on that. But joining us via Zoom is Dr. Ali Seidu, who will help us analyze this. He's a political science lecturer at the University of Ghana. Doc, thank you for your time this afternoon. Okay, it looks like you're muted. If you can unmute, then we can have a conversation. Okay, so I hope that I can hear you now. Good afternoon once again.
Yes, please.
Okay, fantastic. So we're just hearing from the NPP, one of the things they intend to do to bring the people together, bring unity, because obviously if you look at the numbers, the acrimony that characterize the campaign towards the primaries, you know that there are some sort of divisions and there is a problem which everybody is referring to. But one of the ways that the party is looking to solve that problem is to give people or promise people positions in the future or a future NPP administration. How does that come out to you as a political scientist?
I think it's a good idea, but it has challenges. It's a good idea in the sense that there have been a lot of bitterness, a lot of pain, and a lot of dissatisfaction regarding people who have lost their parliamentary seats. And these are people who have great wealth of experience in the issue of dealing with parliament and parliamentary business, conducting parliamentary business. And these people also have experience in terms of contesting and winning national elections. The guys who have the new crop of candidates who have been able to unseat these people in the primary, some of them have not contested national elections on their own. Some of them have been part of national elections, but just to support a candidate. But they don't have the experience of running an election on its own. And in Africa, it's not just about selling yourself well. There are a lot of things that goes into running a successful election campaign and winning. So I think the party need these people, those who are going out on board. And in this case, it's a trade-off. They've lost their seats. So what are you going to do to bring them back? Some of them have been in parliament for quite some time now, and they think maybe is the party don't like me or the delegates don't want me to lead them again. So it's just better I leave politics and do something else. So the only way the party can bring them on board is to assure them of something maybe tangible so that they can look up to that, and then it will re-energize them to throw their support and experience behind this new crop of parliamentary candidates, but also the party moving forward. So it is always good to make that kind of promise to be able to get them back. But there are kind of disadvantages to it. One, this is actually premised on the fact that the NPP is going to win elections. So if the NPP actually wins 2020, then this promise can come on board. But if they are not able to win elections, then it means they will not be able to provide them with these kind of promises that they have assured them. That is one serious disadvantage to the promise or the strategy. Second, you see, if you are a member of parliament, it gives you an edge over other people who are also qualified like you, but are not members of parliament. Because the constitution says majority of our ministers and deputy ministers must come from parliament. So if I have the same qualification as another person who is not from parliament, and I'm a member of parliament, it gives me an edge in terms of appointment compared to somebody maybe who is not a member of parliament. So the element of having a step advantage ahead of the other is going to be lost here if they are not members of parliament. Then two, it's all about security and continuity. You see, once you are a member of parliament, you have that element of security, at least for the next 4 years. If the president appoints you, the president can sack you within the next minute or the next 2 minutes or the next month or the next year. if they have reasons to believe that you are not conducting yourself well or you are not doing things that you are supposed to do. So if you are just an appointee, the element of job security is limited compared to if you are a member of parliament, but you are also an appointee. So that element of job security is actually lost in this particular sense. Then too, there is the element of limitations. You know, somebody might have been an MP, but where are you going to fix him? Maybe he's a very good businessman, but he's not cut for specific positions that are left. So there's a limit to where you can place people if you think they are not cut for that job. But the last bit has to do with job satisfaction. Some people just love to be called honorable member of parliament or honorable, in addition to any other thing that will come with it. They may love that job so much so that they just like doing it. No matter how much they get from it, they have the passion for it. They may not necessarily have the passion to do any other thing rather than just to be a member of parliament. But having said this, there's always a mechanism to fashion out and iron out the differences that these people have, and to be able to reassure them that the party is still committed to them and then move them forward. Honestly speaking, most of them are bitter because some of them don't understand why some MPs were protected and they were not protected. Where maybe they have also spent the same number of years that the other MPs have spent. Most of them were also ministers of state or deputy ministers of state. And some of them were also just first-timers, like some first-timers who were protected. So it still will pain them that even look at the kind of support the kind of effort I was putting in the conduct of parliamentary business, but also speaking on behalf of the party on a lot of fronts and specific issues. And still the party didn't see the need to protect me and had protected other people. So I think it takes a lot of effort and patience to be able to speak to them, re-energize them, and then bring them on board. And then just promising them position is just one of the several ways that you can do that. To some people, it's more about just having positions in government.
Interesting way you put it, and very comprehensive, I must say. But then, is there any other way? As you said, this is premised on the NPP winning the election, which is not determined until the election is done. Is there any other way they can compensate these people, even before, if they will win the election, they do?
So I think it has to do with a lot of engagement and consensus building. You know, like I mentioned, this issue of job satisfaction. Some people may necessarily not just want to be given the position. They may want something else. So what the party can do is sit down with them, ask them what do they want if the party wins, and how can they support them to be able to get what they want, so that they can also throw their weight behind the party, campaign for the party, and re-energize their base, their support base, so that that element of apathy doesn't come in. So it may be very difficult. So the first thing you have to do is to explore their needs and their concerns and their interests. So the party will have to get a special team to be able to do this. And then you see interesting revelations that will come, things that people necessarily may want to have rather than just appointment. So that the party, if the party can make it up to them, then they will do that. In return, these people will throw their support behind them and be able to campaign for them and also support the other people that have unseated them. And I think some people may not even just want what they will be promising them or what they've just said. And I seriously want to believe that this decision of rewarding them to bring them board was just an afterthought. You know, it wasn't like an already planned thing that, oh, if these people lose, they were not even expecting that majority of them will lose like the way it has happened. So I believe it's an afterthought. And sometimes some of these things can actually even make some people angry, that you just think you can give me a position and then all the pain and the troubles that I've gone through will just disappear. So I think they'll have to engage them and explore their interests and what they may want. Then based on that, it can inform them what to do. Some of them may not want appointment, they may want other things, then they'll try to give to them. But even there are also rational people. Barely like 5 months to elections, and you are promising them a job. How about if you don't win? Will that take away the pain, the cost, the resources, and the embarrassment that other people have gone through? Other people were rooted at by the same party people having been declared losers and all those things, public embarrassment. Some of them were threatening violence and all those things. So it takes a lot to be able to heal and reconcile the party moving forward.
Interesting, interesting. I'm sure we'll have more of these conversations going on. Dr. Alidu Seidu, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. And Dr. Alidu Seidu is a political scientist. He's with the University of Ghana. He makes a very important point about apathy in Parliament. Well, Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay, is asking MPs to fully commit to the business of the House in spite of their loss. Out of that, the number of people we have in Parliament, you know that a chunk of them lost their position. Today on the floor, the professor urged the affected members of Parliament to take their defeat in their stride. My colleague, Kwesi Parker-Wilson, has been in Parliament for us, and he joins me with details. Parker, what exactly does the Speaker of Parliament say?
Right, so Gifty, the Speaker was urging the members of the House, especially those who lost their seats, actually not to abandon the work of the House. Now, the point he was making was that in an election, you win some and you lose some. And no matter what, if you continue to win an election, one day, definitely you will lose an election. And so this election shouldn't be any big deal for them because the party has plans of compensating them. And so they should make sure that everything that they have to do between now and the time they leave the House, they will do it. And also ask the other members of Parliament who had won their seats, including the minority, to console the members who lost their seats. So these were the exact words from the Speaker of Parliament. But the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, also has some words to say this morning. And the point he was making was that the time has come for we as a people to have a national conversation on the impact of money on politics, especially parliamentary democracy. So he believes that, I mean, most of the time people don't have the money, and so at the end of the day, they do not win the election to come to power. And so fine brains are leaving the House because they don't have enough resources. That is a worrying situation. That is a problem. And the time has come as a nation to have a national conversation to deal with the canker and make sure that everything is there. But on the interesting side was that the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joe Sewusu, brought in a different twist. And he said that for us to deal with this canker, we have to first tackle the culture. And he set to the point where generally, if you ask people to do things that they are supposed to do naturally, they even demand money for it. So it's not just limited to politicians or election, but it's a general thing that has become a problem in our society. And so if we have to deal with it, then we have to go down before we can tackle the situation. So that was the twist angle he brought into the conversation.
I see, interesting. But I'd like to find out what the demeanor of the members of Parliament who came to the House today was. What was their demeanor?
Well, so we had about 5 of the losing MPs or the defeated ones in the House today. It was later that William Quay also joined, just about Parliament was about going on a break. So I must say MP4 Akotia was in the House. Dr. Makisibe Yabua, New Jabinsa was in the House. Atopan for representing Shama, Vincent Odotesoa, Ladadi Kotepon, and Ekwefri of Abdekuma North Constituency were all in the House. And in fact, they were quiet. I mean, they were sitting alone. I mean, they were on their phones a few times. And before we realized, they had all sneaked out of the chamber because I had plans of speaking to some of them, actually. But before I realized they were not in the chamber, and then they had sneaked out. And also, Dr. Mark Isbiaboy himself, but I was targeting him to get a quick conversation with him. But unfortunately, before I realized, he had sneaked out and then he was going to Job 600. I couldn't make it there. So these were the issues. But I managed to speak to William Quay too. And then he admitted that, yeah, I mean, he paid some money. Last 8 years, I mean, that was the first time I went to Parliament. He paid 50 Ghana cedis. The next time I was taking the money, 50 Ghana cedis each to delegates. Yes, that was an admission.
Okay.
Moving forward to the next election, he paid 100 Ghana cedis. Now, this time, he had to pay times 10 of that. And so
he paid 1,000 cedis.
Yeah, I mean, that's what, okay. He didn't mention, but I was saying that he had to pay times 10 of what he paid in the last election.
So the first election, he paid 50 cedis each to a delegate.
Right.
The next election, he paid 100 cedis each to the delegates. And the next one, I mean, this one,
10.
he paid
But even with that, he lost the election. And he said that he thinks it wasn't really about the money, but it was about the tribal dynamics in his constituency. Some of the chiefs wanted a candidate from a different tribe to represent them in parliament. And so he thought that that was the main reason why he lost this election. So that was his point. But the others who won the election also denied the fact that they paid delegates and said that it was because of their developmental project they've done in the constituency and how they're in touch with the delegates and the constituency and how they've availed themselves, especially for the MP for Takrady, for example. He says that every Saturday he's in the constituency fraternizing with them, attending funerals and church programs and all of that. So that is the reason why he won the election, and not because he had to pay or induce delegates to vote for him.
Interesting. Parker, thank you very much. And we'll look out for JoyNews Prime tonight, because Parker will put together all of these stories and will present it to you. Kwesi Parker Wilson was in Parliament for us, and he joined me with details of that. Thank you, Parker.
Thank you.
Well, talking about those who have failed in Parliament, I want to tell you about the success story of a 92-year-old cocoa farmer at Goso. He has refused to go on retirement. But the tenacity and perseverance of this 92-year-old farmer, despite his age, he certainly inspires some awe. So, for 64 years, his name is Openi Yaweje of Goso in the Asunafo North Municipality of Ahafo region. He's remained a model in the field that many young people today find unattractive. The former best cocoa farmer for the then Bono Ahafo region provides guidance for both practicing and potential youth farmers. Ohemin Teria has been visiting him on his farm and has this in this special feature. For those of you who didn't do well in Parliament, take some solace in this story.
For many people, especially the youth, farming is undignified and exhausting enterprise with little returns. The youth prefer to drift from rural areas to cities for economic opportunities at the expense of agriculture. For Penyeji, the narrative is different. From funding education of his children both at home and abroad, to owning landed residential and business property, age is no barrier to him.
I've got to work hard. Old age is no excuse for laziness.
The non-Nigerian conceived the idea of farming just a few years into his employment at the then Mass Education Office in 1946. The thought of meager pension benefit, which could hardly sustain him after retirement, was enough motivation to pursue his dreams.
In school, no, mass education. I want to be a calm, say, crash humanity. The new for the baby baba now when you now co pension then bring your pensions can ever so. I was a year home by a cuckoo, clearly cassia, baby woman for me, more for cassia.
Openyeje owns 140 acres of cocoa farms at Asumura, Ponkrum near Sankore in the Ahafo region. In 2005, his efforts earned him the best cocoa farmer, an honor he cherishes so much.
The best cocoa award for the whole Bono Ahafo region. I took that award. So me can say, if we, Brosan Kura 2009, the man also, it means my member education. In money education, and I'm also a salon, most of them are graduates.
Many people believe farming is not lucrative and sustainable, but certainly not Openyeje, and he has no regrets for choosing such path.
Oh, you cocoa, now we say we business. The business there now, quite capital intensive. It can be our pastor, say, cocoa maintenance. Catechists, no, even a teacher. I need your crown. ado kuko won pewira eno ma ha no se akatenom ni kuko no be propro ni adem sa the government eboa je enso so wa yi odwuma no de wa die si wo se wo yi business ni and so the ko abanko aso se bibia mi hi bia ban ne de ba ma me wa o yiri ho aduto bibi de say have confidence no pet no.
Farming in recent times has become knowledge-driven, especially in an era of climate change extremes. It means new techniques, seeds, and strategies are needed for sustainable food and cash crop production. Openyeje has experienced negative climate change effects on its annual yields. From up to 750 bags a year, he now does averagely 600 bags, and the reality dawns on him so much. Consequently, he has invested heavily in this area by mechanizing a borehole to supply water to his farm at all times.
This climatic change is all about water. Then you have the borehole, you lay pipes, you have got to erect tank. Then I've got to get a generator that can do the work.
I sought to find out if he retired from active farming anytime soon, considering the number of farm hands he employs.
Retiring from cocoa farming, I don't know when I will retire, because it will make me lazy. From hard work, you are mobile.
From Goso, Ohiminteria reporting.
Ohiminteria with that report, and that's a job that you can do, and that will also fetch you money. But we do know that people like to do illicit drug trafficking, and that's the next conversation we're going to have. Friday, June 26th is the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. Here in Ghana, there's been a lot of concern about the movement and consumption of banned drugs. So recently, officials of the Narcotics Control Commission and the Ghana Revenue Authority retrieved assorted drugs, including cocaine, at the Aplau border. But there's even a bigger worry. Here in Ghana, we're told that there are links to politics. There are links between drugs and politics, because a recent report by the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime said, and I quote, widespread collusion among politicians is said to have facilitated the illicit drug trade in Ghana, with profits from drug trafficking reportedly infiltrating the financing of the country's political system. This is specifically about us. One of the main reasons for the collusion, the report says, is a high cost of running election campaigns within democratic systems of governance, unquote. Today, this will be one of the highlights of a discussion that we have with the Narcotics Control Commission. And I'm joined via Zoom by Sylvester Nana Kumsin. Sylvester is head of the Education and Prevention Unit of NACOP. But first of all, watch this story about the abuse of drugs in some Ghanaian communities. We'll bring the story. Let me engage Mr. Kumsin, who is joining me on Zoom. Hello, Mr. Kumsin. Mr. Kumsin, if you hear me, I'm sure you're probably muted. Unmute for me, please. Okay, if you can hear me, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, it's good. And when you come towards the camera this way, we see your face properly, so that's perfect. Do stay like that for us for the brief moment we'll be talking to you. First of all, International Drugs Day, what does it even mean?
Oh, basically, it's an International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Drug Trafficking. It is a day that has been set aside by the United Nations for all member states to celebrate, let me put it that way, the occasion, in order for us to know the essence or the dangers of drug abuse and illicit trafficking that we find in our communities. So it's a special day set aside to create more awareness for member states to know. So basically, that is the essence of it. And it is celebrated in every 26th of June. Okay. And this year, 26th of June, as we know, will fall on Friday. So that is what we are going to do as a member state of the UN.
I mean, substance drug abuse is a big deal. It has been since I was a child. I'm sure before I was born it was. What is your organization doing differently in these times? And especially, and I was going to play a story for you where people who live in somewhere in Choco were under the assumption that smoking weed could keep you immune from coronavirus. For example, I want you to take a look, or let's have our viewers take a look at that story. And then when you come, I want you to tell us what your organization is doing to reduce, at least, if not eradicate, the usage of these drugs. Take a look. So, Mr. Komsin, even before we talk about what we are doing this year to curb the use of the abuse of drugs, do you feel that organizations like yours have failed people like these gentlemen in Choco? And I hope you saw the story.
Oh, not at all. I mean, we haven't failed, not at all. We are rather doing very good. Looking at what they are saying, you could see that there's no any scientific basis for what they are claiming it to be. And we know that people who find themselves in such situation also have their own psychological and then problems that associate with drug abuse. And so I can say with the convention that we haven't failed at all. We are still ongoing, and these are some of the examples that we've been ginger us more to do more to reach out to the wider populace. So we haven't failed at all.
So this year, what is the focus for your organization as we all commemorate World Drug Day?
Yes, as you may be aware, because of the situation we find ourselves, the COVID-19, where moving into communities or schools or any identifiable groups have become a big challenge. And so what we are doing this year, as the theme of this year says that the better knowledge for better care. Better knowledge for better care. What is important of this year is that a lot of people have misconception about drug related issues when it comes to drug abuse and trafficking and all that. People don't have clear understanding of it. So the focus of this year is that we need to know more. We need to educate people to appreciate the complexity that comes with drug abuse and illicit drug trafficking, so that people will know and understand. And then the video you just showed also tells you that these are people who are actually sick, because the situation they find themselves is not a good situation for them, which actually we need also to understand that when you see people in that situation, it means that they are sick. But in our part of the world, we see this as a moral issue. And so we tend to, first thing that comes in our mind is that these are bad people. So these are some areas that we need to educate the public to appreciate the fact that when you see such group of people, they are rather sick, which actually they need help. So that the focus has been, and then we are, because of the COVID situation now, we are dwelling more into social media to let people know. We are campaigning more now. As you have been talking to me now, it is happening when you go to our Facebook, our Twitter and all that, you see what is going on now. It's a way also to reach out to the wider populace. That's what we are doing, and then moving from from media houses to the media houses. Let me say that we are most grateful to JoyNews for giving us even this platform. You know, a lot of people are watching. It's a way of also educate the public to know the issue when you talk about drug abuse or illicit drug trafficking, which of course concern all of us.
Interesting. So what's the program for this year?
Yes, this year, as I just mentioned, we started with the media engagement.
Okay.
And we've been in other media houses, which we are still going on from. We started it, extensively. And then we are moving on from now to the date, which is 26th. That is the D-Day, where we'll do some drug distraction at a location where we have some media outfits coming over to cover it, and then also know that, and then we'll have a remarks from our Director General, a remarks for people to know. So we are doing a lot in the social media because of the situation that we find ourselves now.
Let's do a little bit of education here. For people who still believe that doing drugs, in fact, there are coalitions who are pushing for legalization, and indeed in this country there is some level of legalization, and of course, correct me if I'm wrong, a level of legalization that was passed recently in Parliament. So for people who believe that the use of, drugs, especially marijuana, is not harmful as we're told, what message do you have for them on this day?
Yes, point of correction.
Please.
There's no legalization of cannabis usage or even trade in or cultivate it. The nation has not legalized. That is a misconception that people have, and people have the opportunity to be in the media. People that people see as celebrities and all that, they go into the media and then propagate this misinformation.
Okay, so help us. What is the real situation?
Yeah, the real situation now is that it is offense for anyone to cultivate weed. It is an offense, and then you can be penalized for 2,000 penalties or not more than 10,000 if you are fined in such situation. And the same thing comes with the usage. But the only difference now is that, which it was with the previous PNDC law 236, which was there. But the only difference now is that there's an element of provision which says that if somebody wants to do that, to cultivate, cannabis, the person needs to get a license from the Ministry of Interior through the commission, that is Narcotics Control Commission. It's not blanket, open doors for anybody. What he says also is that it should be the THC, the detonator, the cannabinol, which is the THC, which is the active ingredient in the marijuana, should be 0.3%. You need to have that, and then you need to go through a process before to be given that permission, and it should be based on medicinal and industrial purposes, not for recreational purposes. And so the situation at stake now is that is what it is now. But the nation as a whole has not legalized the usage and the trafficking in marijuana.
That's very perfectly understood. But then again, don't you think that with this slightly open door, that people can easily take advantage of it?
Yeah, I just mentioned it. There's penalties that goes with it.
Okay.
And so if you want to, and the law grabs you, then you face the law. It's totally against the law to go in that direction. If you want, then you have to do the right thing. And I want to also sign a note of caution to those who have opportunity to have the media, which is very, very powerful to propagate falsehood or misinformation to the general public, especially those who have followers, that they come into the radio and TV or whatever means to say all kinds of things to people. It is against the law to do that.
In this country, a lot of people like to see it happen, then they can believe. So we'll be here to see if there will be any examples that people can learn from. But I'd like to just draw your attention to a global initiative against transnational organized crime report. And I'll quote to you what that report says. It's essentially saying that there is widespread collusion among politicians, and it's said to have been facilitated or facilitating the illicit drug trade in Ghana, because with profit from the drug trafficking, it reportedly infiltrates the financing of the country's political system. This is a report that's coming from the Global Initiative Against Illicit Drugs. What is your commission's response to that?
Yes, you just mentioned the source, but I don't know the level of research that was done. I don't know. I wouldn't be in the position unless, of course, we have the what do you call it? We have the reports, look at the methodology that they use and the conclusion that they came with, and that will inform us or giving us a better understanding of whatever it is, so that we'll be able to talk about it or whatever it is. But when you talk about drug trafficking or drug abuse, it is something that we know it affects good governance, it affects security, and it affects human, resource capability. So it cuts across. It's a very broad spectrum. That when you talk about drug-related issues, it cuts across all these spheres of life. So unless we have this, then we'll be in a better position also to comment on that.
But from your experience as someone who has worked with the Narcotics Control Commission for years, I believe you're head of education. What has been the story with illicit drug and politics? And I'm saying that because especially we're in an election year, we're just coming from a primaries that a lot of people have described as monetized. In fact, my colleague just told us that some of them that he spoke to have actually admitted to giving delegates money, even though they lost. So they link this report to the high cost of doing politics. So what has been your experience over the years?
Yes, I will not be, I can't sit right in front of you here to tell you that, politicians, whoever they are engaging in drugs to finance their activities. We as commission, our work is to do our work and make sure that anybody who is found culpable, the law deals with the person. We don't talk about mingle with the political activities. We do our job. If the law caught up with you, we'll deal with you. It doesn't matter wherever you belong to. So that has been our stand as commission.
Do you have any final words to mark the day, if you like, International Day Against Trafficking of Drugs? Your final words.
Yes, what we want the public to know is that when we talk about drug abuse and illicit drug trafficking, it is something that affects all of us, more especially with our youth. We encourage the parents to have a little time for their children, especially most of them, those are at home and all that. We tend not to know even what they do. We encourage parents to take a very good notice and then take good care of their children. And again, if they see any sign that their children is in particular direction, there's help. Those also find themselves in the issue of drug, substance use disorder. There's hope for such people. And then the hope is available for them also to seek professional advice, counseling, so that they will also be helped. And we should also have it at the back of our mind that people who have substance use disorder are actually sick and they need our help and our support as a nation. We also want the public to know that if you find yourself, if the law catch up with you, on the other side, the law will surely deal with you.
Okay. Mr. Sylvester Kumsin, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. He's head of Education Unit, Narcotic Control Commission there. If you're doing drugs, like he says, the law will catch up with you. We'll take you to Takoradi. But before then, Minister for Foreign Affairs, Shelia Ikobochi, says the country is on course to achieving its Ghana Beyond Aid dream through increased partnerships and trade. She said this when the outgoing Australian High Commissioner to Ghana, Andrew Barnes, paid her a visit to bid her goodbye. Mr. Barnes said he is confident that stronger partnerships with Ghana will continue to exist in order to boost development. More in this report.
Minister for Foreign Affairs, Shirley Ayoko Boche, said the Ghana Beyond Aid dream is achievable. She said to realize the dream, government is increasing partnerships, trade and investment.
Ghana Beyond Aid for us is something that can be achieved, and we are working steadily towards it. And we have a plan of action in order to reach that Ghana Beyond Aid. The mining sector is one major area of Australia interests in Ghana. The scholarships and your impact through the scholarships on the development of this nation is key, because our vision of a Ghana Beyond Aid is a Ghana that has a very high quality human resource. For us, it's very important because we want to be able to create jobs, because it is only then that it can translate into development for us.
The outgoing Australian High Commissioner to Ghana, Andrew Barnes, said Australia has provided many scholarships to Ghanaians and supported the country's mining sector and large-scale farming. After a 4-year term in Ghana, Mr. Barnes said the Ghana-Australian relationship has been strengthened over the years, adding he's confident that partnership with Ghana will continue to assist in order to boost development.
Our relationship between Australia and Ghana has grown, as I said, over the last 4 years. There are a few new Australian mines in prospect that will help to boost the production of gold here in Ghana in the coming years, all going well, and will once again be probably the largest gold mine on the continent of Africa. I've got a very good agriculture company here that's developing broadacre farming. We also continue our development programs here, our scholarship program, and across the continent of Africa, Ghana has always provided amongst the largest number of students to Australia under the program, and also the best students.
Shirley Ayoko commended the Australian government for the support, but called for a stronger partnership in trade.
We're grateful for what has developed so far. We wish it could be better in the area of trade and other areas of investment as well. And we're hoping that what you have built in the last 4 years, the one who succeeds you will even move it up notches higher.
Agape Queen's report for JoyNews.
And in a related development, the outgoing Chinese ambassador to Ghana, Shi-Ting Wang, is optimistic China and Ghana will soon declare themselves coronavirus-free because of interventions put in place. The virus, first detected in Wuhan province of China, has spread globally, infecting over 9 million people with 472,000 deaths. Ghana, as you know, now has 95 deaths and over 3,000 active cases. At a farewell meeting with President Akufo-Addo, the Chinese ambassador said his country will continue to assist Ghana to fight the virus. Shi-Ting Wang is credited for facilitating high level of travels, including President Akufo-Addo's state visit to China and the visit by the Chinese Vice Premier, as well as the Sino-Hydro $2 billion deal. President Akufo-Addo said Ghana remains a strong friend of China. Now back to local stories, and the police at New Takoradi have arrested an 18-year-old lady whose name has been given as Akesi for allegedly stealing a 10-month-old baby there. Correspondent Ina Thalia Kwanza has been following the story. She joins me on Zoom. Hello, Ina. Ina, what more information do you have now?
Yes, so Gypsy, I understand that this baby was stolen on Friday at New Takoradi, a suburb of Takoradi in the western region here. And so this lady had come in the community and stayed there for only 3 days and flew away with the baby on after 3 days. So I'm also here with the District Police Command, and he will tell us the crime, the divisional crime officer. He will tell us more on what happened. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So can you walk us through what happened and how you arrested this young lady?
Actually, a case of stealing was reported last. That's the baby stealing. So we pick up the case for investigation. And now investigation led us to a Siama, where we arrested the suspect and found the baby with her. We arrested her with the baby. So now they are in our custody and investigation is ongoing.
Do we know why she had stole this baby?
For that, we cannot tell as of now. We are going into the matter. So what I can say now is that the case is under investigation and we will come out with the facts.
But is the baby okay? When you saw the baby for 3 days, she has been away from the family. How is the baby now?
For now, she appeared okay. But what we have to do is to refer them to the hospital for a medical officer to assess her and give us a report as to whether the baby is okay.
But what are is she being going to process the court? How many days? How are you handling the case?
Definitely, this case must land in court, and we are working towards.
Ina Thalia Kwanza, speaking with the officer in charge of this alleged baby theft coming from New Takoradi this afternoon. Ina, if you are still there, can you give us the name of this officer you spoke to once again? Okay, we've lost Ina there, but great interview Ina has just done, giving us an idea. We don't know, we're yet to understand what the situation, the health condition of this baby. Like he said, the baby will be taken to the doctor for the doctors to assess this baby. But for 3 days, the baby was declared or was reported missing on Friday and has now been found with an 18-year-old who is believed to have stolen the baby. There are experts in greenhouse farming providing technical support on how to manage greenhouse facilities effectively to improve yield whilst protecting the environment from the devastating impact of climate change. In Ghana, Tech Shelter is a leading agribusiness service-oriented company that helps farmers to improve the efficiency of greenhouse farming using technological innovations. Today, in our climate-focused series, we bring you an excerpt on the interventions by Tech Shelter towards improving food security and fighting climate change.
For many years, Ghanaian farmers have cleared very large hectares of land to grow food and cash crops to feed themselves and the entire nation. They use old farming methods that produce very low yields while relying on the unpredictable rainfall patterns, fertilizers and pesticides. The devastating impact of climate change is making this way of farming very unproductive. Climate-smart agricultural methods like greenhouse farming have been seen as a way of ensuring food security. In Ghana, Tech Shelter is the leading agribusiness service-oriented company that helps farmers to improve the efficiency of greenhouse farming using technological innovations.
Greenhouses are by design a strict regime kind of growing of crops, and you're supposed to maintain certain activities in fixed times and schedules. So some of these were managed manually, and these manual inefficiencies affected yields. We also observed that some of the greenhouse farmers lacked the requisite knowledge to be able to understand even the language of the crop, the agronomy of the crop, knowing what to give to the crop, even getting feedback from the crop, because the crop would normally give you feedback by the fruits you get, the color of leaves, and so much more. So the agronomy, there was a gap. The time of delivery of agronomy was also a problem. Even when they have endeavored to even do this 40% of yield, they had a problem of connecting this produce to market. That was a major problem. So you do well to produce under this strict regime of production and only go out there in the open market to compete with all these open field products, which probably are not premium.
This is a team of engineers, agronomists, agro-trainers, logistics and supply chain experts who come together to deliver smart technological solutions in greenhouse farming. After years of painstaking studies in this sector, this team of young innovators started a search and rescue mission to re-engineer some greenhouse facilities.
We instituted the search and rescue project because we realized that many farmers had given up hope on the process of running greenhouses or using greenhouses as a way of growing crops. So we set out to rather, instead of starting just new ones, let's go look at those who have got their greenhouses non-operational to get them back to operations and make them profitable. So in our search, we saw a lot of them. We saw a lot of greenhouses which were down. But engaging the particular owner of this place was quite interesting because he was more willing to restart. Many of the others had given up hope because whatever you said, it was like they've heard that story before. They've heard that story before. So when we engaged this particular greenhouse farmer, he said, okay, guys, try with the first 3 because he had 6 on his farm. So we kicked up the first 3. And when he saw the yields and how our operations were going, he felt there was no need to wait any longer. So he handed over the entire space that, guys, take over the space and do what you want with it. And over time, we've grown from the 6, and now we are at 14. We added 8 new ones last year.
Since then, this agribusiness startup is growing very fast, providing an engineering solution to agricultural problems in the open field.
That's Tech Shelter. They're part of our series on climate action that is sponsored by the Ghana Climate Innovation Center. We'll bring you more of that. Right now, let's talk about schools. Yesterday, we had a conversation here on how the schools are getting ready to reopen as they started yesterday. Well, today, JoyNews checks in the newly created Savannah region reveal that not even a single senior high school in all the 7 districts in the region has received PPEs as at the time that this report was filed today. COVID-19, as you know, has been one of the biggest issues. And even as the final year and second year gold students go to school, our Savannah regional correspondent, Isaac Nonya, visited 2 of those schools in the Damango and the West Gonja municipality. He's reporting that in Deura Jakpa SHS Technical and Damango SHS that are located in Damango in the West Gonja municipality are without PPEs. Management of the 2 senior high schools there have since yesterday decided to allow the students to walk into their dormitories without the PPE. But we can also go to the OT region. Our correspondent Peter Seno in OT has that story. In the OT region, the story is different. A number of the senior high schools there have taken delivery of their PPEs, and they did that on Monday as the schools reopened. A close look at Kejebi Asato Senior High School there, and students were made to stay off the dormitories until the arrival of PPEs at about 5 p.m. and then they were checked in. Some of the students say they were not happy about the process of having to wait for the PPEs to be ready before they were allowed into the dormitories. Peter Seno is our correspondent for the OT region. Peter also joins me with details. Hello, Peter.
Good afternoon.
Right, good afternoon, Peter. Peter, what more can you report?
Well, the report we put out yesterday was that was KJB Asato Senior High School, where students had to wait the whole day until 5:30, a few minutes after 5 p.m. when the PPEs arrived. And so that was when the students were checked in, and then they told JoyNews that they were not happy about that situation. They had to come far away from their various destination and had to wait at the school's garage until 5 p.m. So that was what we can put up. But the PPE, though, arrived late. They were distributed to them, and then the teachers had theirs early this morning.
Okay. There were
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, Peter.
Yes, today I'm moving with the Deputy Regional Minister, Maxwell Kofi Blagoji. We have moved to 4 schools right now. We went to the Nkunya Senior High School, the Sapaman Senior High School, the Bull Range, and now we are in the Rawa Senior High School. Generally, they have received their PPEs, but heads we have spoken to say it's not enough. The PPEs aren't enough for them to manage. And then in the day schools, where it's purely a day school, the problem now is about feeding because nobody is providing catering services for them. And so the teachers are complaining about how they will have to go to town and then get food and then come back to campus to do their normal teaching. And then generally, we can also report that students are not reporting as expected. Though teachers, 90%, 100% have reported, students are just trickling in. Out of 600, you can get about 30, 35 reporting. Out of 1,040 something, you can have about 50 or so reporting. And so generally, students are not reporting, but teachers are on duty, present, and ready to work. Although the PPEs, they say, are insufficient.
Yeah, they said the PPEs are insufficient. What did you witness being given to them, first of all?
Well, they have given them a white, hand-sewn, face mask.
Okay, face mask.
Which has been embossed with the coat of arms, and then a bottle of hand sanitizer.
So they get bottles of hand sanitizers, they get face masks, and what else? Did they get tissue paper, because it was part of the things that President Akufo-Addo mentioned? So they're supposed to get face masks, tissue paper, sanitizers.
Bucket.
Exactly. Are they getting all of those?
Yes, a bit of issue with those ones too. Some do not come with the various pipes that will have to be fitted onto them, and then others to the lids got mixed up maybe during packaging, and so some the containers are bigger than the lids are smaller than the containers. And so those are a few bottlenecks.
So the Veronica buckets doesn't have an outlet, like it doesn't. There's no place where people can open the water.
Exactly. So the taps to be connected to it, I mean, got missing maybe during the packaging or transportation, and so they cannot use them.
Did they complain about these things and also the fact that the things they were receiving were inadequate to the deputy minister?
Exactly. He is only assuring them that. He can only refer back to his superiors and make those necessary arrangements, and then they'll be sorted out. Right now, he's in a meeting. Would have loved to speak to him, but he's in a meeting with the rural school authorities. That is how come we are unable to speak to him now. Gifty.
Interesting. I'm sure that we'll get more on JoyNews Prime. Peter, but you've been to 4 schools, you say, and out of the 4 schools, of all the 4 schools, they've received their PPEs, but the teachers and the head teachers are complaining that they are inadequate. There is also nobody to cook for them, so they have to go out and buy food and come back to the school to teach.
Yes, the no food issue has to do with purely day schools. Schools that are running day.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Peter, thank you. We'll look forward to the report, JoyNews Prime, later this evening. Peter Seno is our OT regional correspondent. Let's wrap that up with what's happening with in the Savannah region. Over there, we're told that about 7 districts in that particular region, and they have not received our JoyNews checks in the newly created region has revealed that not a single senior high school in all of the districts in that particular region have received any of their PPEs. I was supposed to speak with Isaac Nonya, who will give us details of that. Isaac, we've lost Isaac. As and when we get him, we'll try and bring that to you.